Hello friends, today we'll discuss about the diagrams in UML. Before this section, we have discussed about the basic building block of UML. Now we'll talk about the diagrams. So what is the diagrams? Diagram is a way to represent your static and behavioral things. Diagram is a view into a model. Any system can have two aspects, static or the dynamic aspects. So a model is considered as complete when the both aspects are fully covered. UML diagrams can be broadly categorized into two parts. First is the static part and second is the dynamic part. So in a static view, the diagrams like the class diagram, object diagram, component diagram and deployment diagram comes. Basically, the static view represent the structural diagrams that represent the static aspects of the system. And the dynamic view like the use case diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state chart diagram and activity diagram represents the dynamic nature, represent the behavioral aspects of the system. So, model can be broadly categorized into 9 diagrams. For example, the class diagrams, object diagram, component diagram, deployment diagram, activity diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state chart diagram and the use case diagram. So it is not necessary that a single model will cover all the aspects of the system. For example, a class diagram represents the static structural view of the system. It consists the classes, interface, association, collaboration of the system. Basically, the class diagram represents the object-oriented view of the system. Class diagram represents the static view of the system. In the same way, the object diagram basically an instance of a class diagram. It is more closer to real life scenarios where we implement a system. Next is the component diagram. Component diagram again come under the static view of the system. It represents the static implementation view of the system. It includes the components, relationship and the interfaces. Next is the deployment diagram. So deployment diagram again represents the static view of the system. It means the static deployment view of the system. It represents the runtime configuration of the nodes that we have discussed in the earlier slide about the what do you mean by the node. Okay, so the deployment diagram consists of a set of nodes and their relationship. A node is an entity where we deployed some kind of the components. So this come under the static portion. It means the class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, deployment diagram represent the static structural view of the system. And the rest of the 5 diagram represent the behavioral aspects of the system. For example, the use case diagram. Use case diagram represent the represent the dynamic view of the system. It not represent the static view. It means it represent the behavioral aspects of the system. Use case diagram include the actors involved in the system and use cases of the systems. It means it represent the behavioral aspects. Next, state chart diagram. Basically, the state chart diagram represents the state machine that consists of the state, transition, events, activities. You can use the state chart diagram to illustrate the dynamic aspects of the system. They represent the event ordering behavior of an object. Next is the activity diagram. Activity diagram show the flow from activity to activity within the system. An activity show a set of activities, a sequence or branching flow from activity to activity that illustrate the dynamic view of the system. Activity diagrams are especially important in modeling the functions of the system that emphasize the flow of control among the objects. Next is the sequence and collaboration diagram. Basically, the sequence and collaboration diagram come under the interaction portion, interaction diagram. These are the part of the interaction diagram. So, in sequence diagram, we talk about the time ordering of the messages. It means sequence diagram is a type of the interaction diagram that emphasizes the time ordering of the messages. They show the set of objects, messages sent and received by the other objects. And in the collaboration diagram, although they represent the same functionality, but the way of representation of the functionality are they different. Collaboration diagram is an interaction diagram that emphasizes the structural organization of the object that can send and receive the messages. A collaboration diagram show a set of objects linked among those objects and the messages received. After that, we will discuss about the UML diagram in detail in next session. Thank you.